Guruve Gaurachandraya Dharikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dhanavad Pranam, devotees. Before I get started, I wanted to offer my Dhanavad Pranam at the Lotus feet of Shri Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj and my deepest condolences to all of his sishyas and followers. Maharaj was a very great sevak of our Srila Prabhupada and did so much service over the course of so many years. I had personal opportunity to both meet him, obviously, but also to render some service to him when I was preaching in Africa. He asked that I could come to Kenya and to help some development of the temple in Mombasa, which was a new temple at the time. So I was able to render that service for some time before having to return to my own duties in Zambia. But I take and pray that that little bit of service at his lotus feet will garner his blessings upon me to advance in Krishna Bhakti in this lifetime. So with that said, I wanted to try to continue. I've missed for some days our question and answer sessions. And there are some questions which are backlogged, some questions, as usual, I've answered them personally if I felt they were either shorter questions, didn't require to do it on this forum, or something I've already spoken about on this forum and I didn't need to reiterate, at least publicly here. So this question was a new question, and a devotee wanted it on this forum, so I'm honoring that request. And I'm reading the question here. It says, I heard from a senior devotee that Krishna has three different characteristics. That is, that he is perfect, more perfect, and most perfect. I, in a class, had repeated this statement and was counseled by one sannyasi afterwards that this conception was wrong, that Krishna is absolute and Krishna is always absolutely perfect. So he questioned me as to where this came from, and I told him I'd heard it from one senior devotee, and that devotee had quoted it from Sastra, but I cannot remember what Sastra it was quoted from. So the quote comes from Ujjalanimani. It's also written in other places, but I know for sure it's written in Ujjalanimani in the description of Krishna's Swarup. Krishna has 96 qualities. Those 96 qualities are discussed in one section of Ujjalanimani. And it's described that Krishna is perfect in Dwarka, more perfect in Mathura, and most perfect in Braj. So perhaps context may have been what made this particular sannyasi not understand exactly what you spoke in the class. And it's always good if you hear something from a very senior or trusted devotee that you try to locate the source material for that quote so that you can always have the backing of Sastra. Guru Sadhu Sastra is everything. Dandavat Sadansada Prabhu. Guru Sadhu Sastra is everything when we are making any presentations about the philosophy of bhakti. In the absence of being able to quote Guru Sadhu Sastra, we avail ourselves to doubts by others. So I know you wrote a few other things regarding the particular sannyasi and how you felt about his questioning or his correcting in that particular case what you said. So perhaps it could have been context, as I'm saying, that he did not grasp the context that you were speaking in, and because you could not remember at that time what Sastra was presented in, then it's pretty much the duty of sannyasis or senior devotees to try to keep some checks and balances on things that are spoken in the class. So he was not absolutely wrong in this particular case, and neither were you. You were absolutely right. It's just that context and actual Sastra Praman was needed to back what you were saying. So in that regard, to make it more clear, this statement of Rupa Goswami refers to what is called Rasa Gata Vichar. There are two considerations when we speak about Krishna. One is called Tattva Gata Vichar. In Tattva Gata Vichar, it means according to philosophical truth, Krishna is absolutely and always fully perfect. Even the name of Krishna, what to speak about Krishna Swarup, even the name of Krishna is described. Purna Suro Nitya Mukto Abhinatvam Nama Namyo. This name is non-different from Krishna and is Purna Suro Nitya Mukto. It is eternally Swata Siddha, it's called. It's eternally self-perfected. So Krishna Swarup is also self-perfected. Understand? So in that sense of Tattva Gata Vichar, this sannyasi is correct that Krishna is always and absolutely perfect. But Krishna is also called Akila Rasa Amritamurti Rasovai Shaha. So Krishna is the connoisseur and the very personification of rasa. So rasa means when Krishna expands himself, his internal energy is personified as Srimati Radharani. So it's explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Radha Krishna Chai Sada Eki Swarup Leela Rasa Asadite Dare Dui Rup. That Radha and Krishna are actually one absolute truth, but they have eternally manifested two forms in order to taste Leela Rasa. So two things are here. One is Leela. Leela means the activities or pastimes of Bhagavan in which he's able to taste Rasa. So now the question is, what is this Rasa? Rasa is a combination of ingredients that give rise to the tasting of the Ladini Vritti. Ladini Vritti means the pleasure potency. Radharani is the personification of that pleasure potency. It's explained in one verse, Ladini Sada Prem. The essence of Prem, or love of God, whom Radharani is the topmost manifestation of this love of God, the essence of that love is called Ladini Shakti, means the pleasure-giving potency. Ladini Sada Prem, Prem Sada Bhav. Prem is a bhav, it's a mood, right? Bhav Parama Kashtana Mahabhav. The highest manifestation of that mood is called Mahabhav. Mahabhav has different divisions. Rud, Adi Rud. Adi Rud has also divisions. Modan and Mohan. And the perfection on the highest state which only exists in Radhika is called Madan Bhav or Madanakya Mahabhav. So, this pleasure potency of Krishna in its personified form as Srimati Radharani, whom Krishna has eternally manifested two separate forms in order to taste this rasa. So now, this rasa has ingredients as I mentioned. One ingredient is called the Sthai Bhav. Sthai Bhav means a permanent sentiment in relation to Radha and Krishna. So it's explained by Rupa Goswami, Sthai Bhava Utprasa Prokta Sri Krishna Vishayani Rati. So in this verse, the word Vishai is very important because after Sthai Bhav, after the establishment of a permanent sentiment of love with Krishna, comes what is called a Vibhav. Vibhav is composed of two things. One is alamban. It means the things that support love. And udipan, the things that stimulate love. So alamban here means Vishai, which means the object of love, and asray, which means the repository of love. So these are all the ingredients that compose, I'm describing what composes rasa. You understand? So this asraya is headed by Srimati Radharani, but it is all devotees who come in the anugatya or in the line of following not only Radhika but any mood of a sentiment of love towards Krishna. They are under the asraya of that particular type of love. You understand? And all love is sheltered by Srimati Radharani. So this is called asraya jatya, the category of asraya, or repository of love. Krishna is the object of that love. It is called Vishai. You understand? So the second component of rasa is alamban, which is asraya and Vishaya. Then udipan means those things which stimulate love. So throughout all the different leelas of Krishna, various incidents and pastimes stimulate love, including Krishna's qualities, Krishna's Swarup, Krishna's Venu Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, Prem Parikar Madhuri, Vrindavan itself, Jamuna, Giriraj Govardhan. All things stimulate love for Krishna, they are called Udipan. Then there are Anubhavs. Anubhavs mean the feelings which follow the love one has for the object of their love. Right? So Anubhavs are of two different types. One is called Sattvika Vikar. Sattvika Vikar means 8 symptoms which occur due to natural impulse. They have no relation to the application of intelligence. Like I'm giving an example to make it clear. If you will hear any good news, then hearing that good news, your intelligence processes, yes, some very good fortune has come to me. Wow, I'm very happy. Right? So with the application of intelligence and the stimulation of a particular thing that made you happy, you express happiness by smiling, laughing, whatever it might be. Similarly, there are some feelings which trigger the sympathetic nervous system in such a way that you don't have any intellectual application to what happens to the body. So for instance, if you get some extremely sad news, it doesn't have to be sad news, it could also have been happy news, but if you get news that overwhelms the system, and therefore automatically it brings tears to your eyes, it may rise to the point where you may actually faint because of that news, this is called Asta Sattvik Vikar, like hair standing on end, trembling of the body, faltering of the voice, change of bodily color, etc. Becoming stunned. So these are called Asta Sattvik Vikar. So those which are working under the application of intelligence, they're called Udvaswara. It means things that have the application of intelligence. And things which happen out of natural intensity of an emotion, they're called Asta Sattvik Vikar. There are 8 of them. Then there are 33 Sanchari Bhavs. It means temporary manifestations of an emotion which rises, Rupa Goswami describes, like a wave in an ocean and then subsides back into the ocean. Right? So these are like Danya Bhav, humility, Vishada, a sense of disparagement. Right? So there's 33 transitory characteristics like that. They're called Sanchari Bhavs. You understand? When you mix all of these ingredients together, it composes the ingredients which produce rasa. You understand? And ras, with a long A in Sanskrit, means how that is tasted. So those ingredients that I mentioned, they are tasted by Sri Krishna and by the devotee, right? This is called ras. You understand? So Rupa Goswami and all of our acharyas have also described Krishna and Krishna's pastimes according to rasa gata vichar. It means according to the taste of that particular these particular types of rasa. You understand? So this is called rasa gata vichar. Vichar means consideration. So this rasa gata vichar takes consideration according to how Krishna is performing his pastimes. Those pastimes which are performed in Dwarka, the nature of the love that is manifest there, let's say for instance by the queens of Dwarka, it is called Samanjasa Rati. The word Samanjasa means there is some doubt as to whether it completely brings Krishna under control and satisfies him. And this is all written in Ujalimani and other places by Srila Rupa Goswami Pad especially, but also in other sastras as well. So, Samanjasa Rati of the queens of Dwarka, right, it is doubtful whether it fully brings Krishna under control. You understand? However, in Mathura, because of its proximity to Vrindavan, there is more influence coming from Braj, and therefore, even though Krishna isn't tasting the fullness of how he tastes Prem in Braj, there is some influence of it. You understand? There is some influence of it. Therefore, it's described that Krishna is perfect in Dwarka because he's Bhagavan, but he has more perfection due to the influence of Prem in Mathura, and he finds the fullness, most perfection in Braj among those whose Prem headed by the prem of gopis, headed by Radhika, is called Samartha Rati. It means it is fully competent, Samartha. It is fully competent to bring Krishna under control. Ramani Shiromani Vishabhanu Nandini Nilavasana Paridana Inavirata Jini Varnavikasini Badakaveri Hari Prana. So here it's saying that the nature of Radhika's love for Krishna is so great that when Radhika's heart is exposed, it's like if you have gold and then you open that gold, the nature of the internal vision of that gold piece now is even more shining. So when we examine the heart of Radhika, we see her prem is shining so brilliantly. And that prem is so powerful that Bada Kavari Hari Pran, Kavari means a brave. Her love is so strong that Hari's life, means the very life of Krishna, is bound up in the braid of Radhika. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written this kavya, this poetry, in the Bhajan, Ramani Shiromani, describing the nature of Radhika's prem. You understand? So in Braj, the prem of Radhika is fully competent, along with all the other gopis, is fully competent to bring Krishna completely under their control. That's why we sing every year during Damodarastakam, Iti Drikshwali Labir Ananda Kunde Swagosham Nimanjantam Ayakpayantam Tadi Yeshita Geshur Bhakta Chita Tvam. So Satyavat Muni is saying that all persons should know that this love which is being expressed in Vrindavan, in Braj, it is superior to the Aishwarya Gyan Mayi Prem, which is in Vaikuntha or Dwarka or any place else. Because by this love, the residents of Vrindavan have brought Krishna completely under their control. You understand? For this reason, Rupa Goswami wrote that in Braj, Krishna is most perfect. You understand? So the statement, Prabhuji, that you made, it is not incorrect statement. The sannyasi who gave some correction to you did so primarily, perhaps, whether he knows or not this particular rasa tattva. Still, he's checking that if you're saying in general something like this and you don't have the Sastra Praman and the explanation to back it, it could be construed as being something incorrect. Right? Perhaps if you go back and now explain to him where you will find it, you can find certainly in Ujjalni Mani under the description of the Swarupa of Krishna. I'm giving the place and everything in Ujjalni Mani where you can find. You can give this reference to that sannyasi, and perhaps then also he may, if he knows this tattva as far as rasa tattva is concerned, he can say, oh, well, this is what you meant. Understand? Secondly, another part of your writing, you mentioned that sometimes devotees are intimidated when sannyasis or senior devotees by tenure, means they perhaps were initiated first or etc., or the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, that devotees may feel intimidated to speak because of such things. So again, I want you to be careful. Do not become critical, right? Try to understand that in many cases, hopefully, it's a matter of them trying to protect against perhaps some opposite-dantic idea coming in. So this is why, again, on your part, you need Sastra Praman and you need to be able to explain what it is you're saying according to Guru Sadhu Sastra, right? If not, then we won't hold that these persons have some malicious intent simply to intimidate disciples. Now, there are situations in which perhaps the pride or abhiman of being the Sishya of Srila Prabhupada or being a sannyasi may take some effect in how they approach a particular devotee, and in some cases there is actually a adverse idea, not adverse, what should I say, what's a better word? For lack of knowledge of rasa tattva and some of these particular conceptions in bhakti, there is a kind of aversion to hearing it being spoken. Right? Because the idea is that if it becomes normative to speak these things, it would also have to be normative that those giving the class understand these things and can explain them. And in situations where that may not be the case, then if there's any pride in our being sannyasi, or any pride in our being a senior disciple, any pride in our tenure in bhakti based on when we took initiation, all of these things will give rise to protecting that prestige, and therefore there'll be sort of a diminishing of anything which they cannot answer or respond to. Actually, I don't want to say directly had that experience, but I was participating in one forum, and I was mentioning some things which, if I have something that I'm not clear on, I will never speak it, right, until I've confirmed it with Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra, right? So if I say something, pretty much I'll be able to say where it is located in Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra, right? Other than that, even if it's something that I've heard from a very, very senior devotee, and I respect Sadhu Vakya very highly, I still want to find that place where it is in Sastra, so that I'll have the ability to say, yes, from Sadhu, and Sadhu also, if they're pure Sadhu, are like Guru. So I can say from Guru and Sadhu, and also from Sastra, I've confirmed this particular conception. You understand? So I spoke something once, and a devotee then responded to it, right? But they responded to it more from the position of being a senior devotee, but they didn't give any Sastra Praman or anything to refute necessarily what was spoken. You understand? So in those cases, there's also a sort of appeal to very senior devotees to not do like this. Because what it does is, and I did a whole question and answer session on creating a culture of inquiry versus a cult of compliance. Because if you don't inspire devotees to ask questions and answer the questions, even if the question is beyond their adhikar at that point, what answer you give them will give them enough inspiration to continue in the practice from where they are situated in adhikar and gradually unfold to that position. If you discourage the inquiry, right, and the entire basis of bhakti is questions and answers. The sages at Namashanayan, Maharaj Parikshit Shukdev Goswami, Narada and Yudhisthira, Krishna and Arjuna, Kapila and Devahuti, Vidura Maitreya, Navayogendras and Maharaj Nimi. Everything is questions and answers. So it is such a huge part. Tadvari paripatane pariprishna shevaya. Doing pranipat, being sarnagat, then to Guru one should pariprishna, one should ask relevant questions. And every question in bhakti has relevance to some unfoldment of that aspirant. So you have to be able to explain it in such a way the aspirant realizes where my digestion stops and where my future development will allow me to digest more. But if you simply intimidate, stifle, or suppress the nature of inquiry, then you will get many more misconceptions in bhakti that arise. Because it is the nature that people want to try to understand what it is they're practicing. And if you stifle inquiry, you'll make them come up with conceptions that are not based in Guru Sadhu Sastra. So then actual opposite-dantic ideas will come up. Just like if, and I'm taking the sannyasi simply didn't understand the context of what you were saying, and I already explained to you that the inability to produce Sastra Praman would have given more credence to him to believe it may be something that's not correct. But the idea that Krishna is homogeneous, right, is a step above Mayavad. You understand? In other words, when we see, oh, Krishna is just Bhagavan, right? There is no nuance or diversity within the personality of Bhagavan, then it is a step above Brahmavad. You understand? Mayavad is offense. Brahmavad, though, is seeing everything is kind of homogeneous. He's Bhagavan, he's God, period. As Ram, as Narasingha, as Varaha, he's just Bhagavan. But Jiva Goswami wrote, Bhagavan Stavad, Asadharana, Aishwarya Madhurya Tattva Vise Swarup Paramananda. Jiva Goswami is writing, what makes Krishna asadharana, means uncommon, is that he's able to reconcile Aishwarya Madhurya in his Braj Leela in a special way. It is certainly Aishwarya to to lift Govardhan Hill. This is all kinds of Aishwarya. That a 7-year-old boy is lifting on his left pinky a mountain. But in Braj, nobody considers that Krishna is Bhagavan. So how is he lifting this mountain? Kacho makkana bala baro, kacho ko kisai, kishori ji ki kripa se girivarali utai. This is one Braj poem. It's saying that the Brijabasis considered, they took a counsel. How Krishna lifted Govardhan? So some idea was there that when Garga Rishi came, in order to do the name-giving ceremony of Krishna, he told, Nandastu Atmajo, Narayana Samaguna, your child will have qualities like Narayan. So Brijabasis took it because Nanda Baba is such a deep devotee of his Shalagram Shila, that now the piety of Nanda Maharaj's service to Sri Narayan Shila is benefiting his son. This is one idea. But in this Brijbas poem, the elderly gopis, they came together and said, oh, we know why he's able to lift this mountain. Right? He's stolen butter from our houses for years and years. He's developed incredible strength from eating butter. Right? But then the cowherd boys and some of the men said, no. This is such a ridiculous idea. Actually, we saw that at one point the hill began to tremble. Because Krishna took one glance at Radhika, Radhika shot one glance at Krishna, that time the hill began to tremble. So they said, when that happened, we assisted Krishna. We took our sticks and canes, and we helped him to hold the mountain up. Then Lalita Sakhi, she began to laugh and say, oh, this is all a ridiculous idea. This Giriraj Govardhan would not move. Kishori ji ki kripa se girivarali utai. Krishna was holding this Giriraj because my Sakhi Radhika, by the power only of her glance, she looked at Govardhan, and Govardhan had fear to fall. You understand? So this is Brijavasi idea. So the nature of how Aishwarya becomes overwhelmed by prem. What to speak of Aishwarya, of Bhagavan being overwhelmed by prem, Krishna himself, who is the possessor of all of those opulences of Bhagavan, is overwhelmed by their prem. You understand? So this kind of understanding is the basis of our practice in bhakti. This is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to teach. You understand? Prema rasaniyas karite ashwadan ragmarg bhakti loke karite pracharan. Mahaprabhu came to taste what is the love of Srimati Radharani, this Mother Nakya Mahabhav. Because even Krishna himself, in his form of Krishna and the position I told about Rasa, in the position of the Vishaya, you cannot understand the depth of the love of an Ashraya. You understand? You're the recipient of that love, but you can't understand it. This is why this understanding of Rasa Vichar is very important. Because if you just think Krishna is Bhagavan, you think he knows everything, he can accomplish everything, then you'll think, what is the need of Mahaprabhu to appear? Because Krishna can understand all Radhika's moods. Why does he have to come as Mahaprabhu? But he begs, borrows, and steals to become Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and understand this mood of Radhika. So it's very important to understand these things. It's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Radha Krishna, Radha Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Asma, this slok. Shri Radha Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shakti Asma. Due to the intense bliss that's experienced by Krishna as a result of Radhika's pranaya. Pranaya is a synonym for love. I'm not explaining here, but love has so many different iterations. Right? Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranay, Rag, Anurag. Anurag turns into Mahabhav, Rud, Adi Rud, Modan, Mohan, and in Radhika, Madan. You understand? In English language, we say love. Yeah, butterflies in the stomach or something. I don't know what the actual definition is here. But Prem in the concept of bhakti has so many deep iterations. You have to study Ujjwal and Mani to understand these things. But he says here that pranay, here pranay means Radhika's pranay. Shri Radha pranay. So this indicates pranay from the perspective of Madan Bhav. Krishna couldn't understand it. Vikriti, the transformations of that love, then produced in Krishna Ladini Shakti Asmad. Right? Asmad means like the cause of understanding how the Ladini Vritti, I explained this earlier, how Ladini, this pleasure-giving potency, is the essence of Prem, how this Ladini-giving potency is existing in Radhika. So that very potency, the transformation of love, produced the very form called Sri Satchinandan Gaura Hari Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? Shri Radha Pranaya Mahima Kidraso Vanyeva. Krishna had these three desires. How to understand the pranaya of Radhika. You understand? How to understand how Radhika tastes his four special qualities. Venu Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, Prem Parikar Madhuri, and his Lila Madhuri. And what kind of Shokim Chasya, what kind of happiness does she feel? Krishna doesn't know this. Therefore he becomes Sachinandan Gaura Hari. You understand? And in tasting that, he also distributed Rag, Marg, Bhakti Lok, Karite Pracharan. Primarily to the Bhakta Lok. It means the pure devotees from other incarnations. He distributed to them the intensity of the Braj mood in a special kind of Dasya Bhav to Mahaprabhu. This is why in the Srivas Angan, the Kirtan originally was very exclusive, because it was only for pure devotees from other incarnations. Rup Goswami has explained this it's quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but he's also explained this in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Prem Naiva Gopa Ramanam Kamam Ityagamat Pratam Udavadayo Apietan Vajanti Bhagavat Priya. So Prem Naiva Gopa Ramanam Kamam Ityagamat Pratam. That kind of love which is celebrated as Kam. Kam means like lust, but here it indicates when it's in relation to Bhagavan, it is pure. So though it looks like Kam, it's actually Prem. So Prem Naiva Gopa Ramanam Kamam Ityagamat Pratam. This Prem looks like lust. The love between Radha and Krishna and Gopis. It looks like that. But it's actually completely, absolutely pure. You understand? Then he says, Udava Adayo Apietan Vajanti Bhagavat Priya. All the Vajanti Bhagavat Priya means all the dear devotees of the Lord, headed by Uddhav. Because Uddhav himself, Gacha Budva Somyam, Pitro Prityavaha, Mad Gopi Viyogadim, Matsandashaya Vimochaya. When Krishna was in Mathura, looking from his rooftop and looking at Braj, Krishna became overwhelmed, thinking about Brijabasis. So he called, oh, gentle Uddhava, come. I want to send you to Vrindavan. Pitro Prityavaha. You should see Nanda and Yashoda just like your own parents. And by your persona, by your instructions, by your mood, Prityavaha, show them so much affection and relieve their separation mood. But then he told, Mad Gopi Viyogadim, but my gopis, Viyoga, in their separation you cannot pacify it. Even though you're directly a Sishya of Brihaspati, you're very learned. Even I consider you my own counselor. Vishninam Paravo Mantri. He's directly the counselor of Krishna. He's Krishna's psychologist. Understand? But Krishna saying, my gopis you will not be able to pacify. So, Matsandashavi Mochaya. To relieve their suffering, give them my message. And this constitutes a whole pastime called Uddhav Sandesh. There's one whole book also written called Uddhav Sandesh. In there describes all the details of how Krishna prepared Uddhav to go to Braj. You understand? So Uddhava, being in Vrindavan, he was able to hear the height of the Adirud Bhav of Gopis by Radhika reciting in the 47th chapter of the 10th canto what is called Brahmar Geet. Radhika's incoherent, apparently, speech to a bumblebee. Right? This bumblebee, our acharyas say, was Krishna himself directly. Some say like a messenger from Krishna. You understand? But Radhika speaks in 10 types of what is called a Chitra Jaut. Chitra Jaut means speech which has 10 different categories expressing emotions in a state of unmad or madness. You understand? So Uddhava was witnessing that. And at the end he thought, oh, what can I do? Samaho charanarenu jusamham syam Vrindavane kim gumo latta sodinam. Can I become even a creeper in Vrindavan that Radharani and Gopis may place their feet on my head? You understand? After hearing this Brahmar Geet. So Krishna told, oh Uddhav, you yourself have directly witnessed this, therefore, headed by Uddhava, who became Paramananda Puri in Gaur Leela, all the devotees of previous incarnations, Murari Gupta, who was Hanuman formerly, the Panch Pandavas, who became the sons of Bhavananda Roy. You understand? Who else? Jai and Vijay, who went through the 3 iterations as demons, even became Jagai Madai in Gaur Leela, and were delivered. So all the devotees of previous incarnations, pure devotees, they've come into Gaur Leela to taste the intensity of what this Braj praying. So Mahaprabhu taught by his own Leela what is the glory of this Vrindavan Leela and Krishna's most perfect manifestation. Understand? According to Rasa Gata Vichar. So Prabhu, hopefully this was helpful. And my dandavats to your family as well. Your father also is a very high-class devotee. So surely he knows all these things and so forth. And to your good wife and your family, I'm also praying. I won't be traveling in that direction. This year I'm traveling to the west later on this year. After Bhakti Intensive is in June. So that's the invitation I sent you if you wanted to come to Bhakti Intensive. The rooms that I know now are sold out, but I think you can still book just by calling the facility that I gave you, that place, that Massanutten Resort, right? The number I sent you, you can call, and I'm sure there may still rooms. It may be check-in on a later date, but the actual classes don't start until that Monday. Understand? So you can try to do that with your family. It would be very nice for the children as well, so forth, so on. Anyway, we could speak privately about that. But hopefully this answered your question about what went on in the particular class and so forth and so on. And I'm sure if you go back to that sannyasi, but you should go back in a very deep mood of humility. Do not go back, well, listen, I got you now, sort of thing, because it's not proper. You understand? We should always prenadapi sunich. You understand? So we should not be critical. We should always maintain a mood of humility. You understand? And in that way, very lovingly, we can have exchanges with devotees. And those exchanges are guyamakiti prachiti. They have priti lakshan. They have the quality of priti. So will help our bhakti. If we become a little proud and, oh, okay, now I got it, and so forth, it will hurt bhakti, actually. If you want to be able to chant nicely, be absorbed, then offer all respects to others and don't expect any in return. Like this. Alright, my Dandavat Pranam. I also Dandavat Pranam to all the devotees I saw some devotees come on. So my Dandavat Pranam to you. Aladini Shakti Prabhu, we spoke earlier today. So you give me your blessings of the dust of Sri Vrindavan Dham. And Hari Bol Ashok Prabhu, I see you on also. And other devotees as well. Alright, I have other services to do, so let me go and attend to that. Vancha Kalpaturvishcha, Kripa Shinduvevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Radhe Radhe.